This video is made for adult collectors because just all of the problems.
Not again.
Barricade. Barricade. Boy, what happened to you? Alright, before I get started into this video, a couple things I want to get out of the way first. If you hear any background noise, like at all throughout this video, there is construction happening upstairs right now. And I do have a Patreon. It'll be linked in the description if you want to support the channel even further. You do not have to do this if you don't want to. Now, I'm going to start in car mode because car is actually very good. Barricade wasn't a character I would play as, but driving this car in the game was so cool. And the figure really helps give you that sense of speed, how low down to the ground it is and how sleek all the angles are. And there's a lot of paint, like a lot of this gray is paint, which is really cool to see. But the rims aren't painted purple. They don't have that purple stripe, which is a shame. Please, toy hacks. Love how mean the front grille looks and how beefy the back is. And there's two different types of weapon storage, which is really cool. You can peg it into the back, or you can peg it on top by flipping the gun upside down. It feels super nice in the hand too. The plastic and the general hand heft is very satisfying to hold, but that's all the car really does, and that's probably the best part of the robot, because let's just get into the robot. Oh boy. So his transformation is quite simple yet effective, and I very much like doing it. I love flicking this guy back and forth. Even though he's huge, you can still like just casually, without thinking about it, go back and forth and back and forth. It's great. So to start with, you rip this off. You bring the arms out like so. Then you got to do this right here, which if you recognize this transformation step at all, RID 2015 Bumblebee, like that whole thing right there is just RID 2015 Bumblebee. And that's kind of funny to see that make a return. Getting the arms back in, or the hands back in, can be a bit of a pain, especially with the thumb. And now the hand is sitting at an angle. I really don't like that. Now this arm, you're supposed to rotate it, right? Well, it still rotates a little bit on the, because this is the 5mm arm, right? And there is a very large stress mark right there. You see it? And that is from this twisting a lot when I do the transformation, which is kind of annoying. So what I normally do is I'll take the arm off, rotate the joint independently, and then put the arm back on. Because, come on, there we go. Because I don't want to break it. Ow. Snap this into place, and boom. We have Buddy finished. Now, Barricade is supposed to have the wheels on the hips, but a lot of people seem to like it with the wheels at the bottom. And this does look fine, but I personally just prefer the other way. But yeah, some people like that look, which looks pretty cool. But again, I'm just gonna leave them up here because I kind of like the way that this looks. Yeah, it makes it feel a bit more video game. And then there he goes. This looks very good. Like, it looks pretty close to the game, all things considered. And then the heft comes right back to bite this figure in the ass. His very hollow ass. It's way too chunky. Like, way too chunky. The things on the side of the legs stick out so much that the arms bump into them. The hand panels restrict the hand movement because the thumbs bump into him. The heft on the back and lack of heels means he does this a lot. I really like how chunky he looks. I think it really fits the game aesthetic, but if you're going for accuracy, then this really isn't it. He feels way too tall next to Prime and probably Megatron when he comes out. So scale nuts might be very upset about this, so that's something to watch out for if you're super into scale. I just stubbed my toe on the wall and that hurt. The next issue I have is the gun. The arm on my copy likes to fall off sometimes, so that's kind of annoying, but you can remove it and plug the gun in. And it's too small. In the game, the gun is actually bigger on Barricade. Like, it's large because he's one of the smaller robots, and the guns don't really change sizes when handed off to robot, so like, it looks big in his hands. And I believe it's the small. Because plastic distribution on the mold or something. But yeah, it looks like shit on Prime, which is a shame because that's the cover of the game, is Prime with this gun. And you can't recreate that because it looks terrible because it's so tiny. Also, those lack of heels, very annoying. I want to quickly talk about the no heels thing because like they've been doing this for so long. Like, it doesn't take that much of a heel to get a thing it bothers me too because of this thing, right? At the most recent Hasbro live stream they showed off Core Bumblebee, the redeco, or technically the original version of this. This is a pre-tool, but they showed that off, and Evan, the designer, had trouble making it stand. Not because of it's an engineering pilot and had loose joints, but because he doesn't have any heels. And so he was in a pose. Right? He was, oh, nothing wants to tap in. He was in like a pose, and he falls. What? It's not that hard to go flip, put a thing out. Or if you want to use this Bumblebee transformation, get these to sit down further to act as heels. Because otherwise, if I flatten out his feet, it doesn't take that much effort. If I straighten him out all the way, he just falls. It feels a lot like something that would have come out in 2010. It's the most non-modern feeling modern Transformer we've gotten in recent years. It's very weird. Because in 2010, you would be so used to like, what the hell came out in 2010? Reveal the Shield stuff, right? 2008 to 2010, you had Classics Universe, Reveal the Shield, all that sort of stuff. And articulation was there, but it wasn't a super big main focus, right? So people were okay with certain compromises within the articulation. But now, because Hasbro prides themselves on packing so much movement into a transforming toy for the same price as a Marvel Legend, that it becomes that like expectation that you want from a toy. And then when you get it and it's Gamer Barricade and he doesn't meet any of those expectations you're so used to, you're like, what the hell? And that's what you get with this thing. I think the reason he's like this is maybe because Prime got most of the budget for these toys, because he's almost like perfect, but Barricade here is far from it. I heard stories that supposedly Prime was the only toy we were supposed to get, but then corporate wanted a couple more, so they had to rush Bumblebee and Barricade out. And while Bumblebee is still better than Barricade, he has some issues, and then Barricade basically got like the shit end of the stick. Head looks just like in the game. Like, it looks very good, but it's gray painted black, so his chin thingy's chipped right out of the box, which is very annoying. But the part that people really don't like, as I said, is the posing. So Barricade's articulation is something that everyone has problems with, and so do I. It's very strange because this comes out at a time when, like, there's articulations. I guess he's a bad example because of the dinosaur arm, but like, even this thing has more articulation, and this is cheaper. So it's just weird. Let me get a figure it feels like. Hang on. For some reason, it reminds me of this. Whoa. Okay, you've gotten loose. It reminds me of this. And it's just because of how limited both of them are. Like, he has really great knees, but then everything else kind of sucks, and this guy doesn't really have anything going for him. You got the head, which is on a ball joint, really tight ball joint. It's actually on a double ball joint or a double hinge or something. So he can do the if you want. Shoulders are on ball joints and a little hinge so they can shift up and down and rotate. You got elbow bend that only bends that far. That's not a lot. He's too bulky in the arms, so it only goes that far. You do have a wrist swivel, but only swivels the one way, because if you go the other way, it just sort of bashes into this piece, which looks like it's like they could have easily put like a hinge here to fold it down, but it would have looked weird in alt mode. He does have a waist joint. Now the hips, they are, I believe, on ball joints. Yes, they're on ball joints. So they can go forward only that far. And why is that? Well, if you look at how thick his thigh, God, I can't believe I'm saying this. You look at how thick his thighs are, right? Let's just move this out of the way so you can see. They're really chunky. And that chunky sculpt bumps into here. So that's as far as the leg will go, unless you turn it. Then it goes forward, but now this is at an angle. So I don't know why they did that. Just slim his thighs down a bit. It's just such a weird decision. He does have a thigh rotation, which is nice. However, these things do start to collide with the backpack when you start rotating it. The knee bend. That's it. And that's just a byproduct of the 2015 RID Bumblebee transformation. His knees also did the same thing. And it's not like this bit collides with the knee, like the thigh, sorry. It's just the knee stops. So again, so many weird choices, and the feet only go forward. Which I like the feet going forward. It means you can get him into like a sort of running pose. I remember people being like, you can't pose him. He's so difficult to put into a cool looking pose. I'm gonna do one right now. Rotate the head. Come on, rotate the head. There we go. There you go. There's a cool looking pose. However, he will just fall over because these are loose, and I love that. And then the lack of heels just makes it very difficult. See? Oh, and so this is sculpted. It's not a full round peg, so you can't peg anything else into here. But the gun is a full round peg, so you can, when you plug the gun in, you can rotate the gun, I guess, if that is a piece of articulation you care about. But yeah, not very fun to pose. So yeah, Barricade's cool. I like having it, but it's still one I would say wait for a sale. It's nice to have to complete the collection of Game Bros, but yeah, I think getting it at full price is too much. Like, it's huge. He's literally bursting out of his box. That's how big he is. But it's just the posing and the no heels. If he had better articulation and could stand properly, he would be great. Size aside, he would be great. But it's those two major things for me that hold it back from being worth that full retail deluxe class price. But that's my look at Gamer Edition Barricade. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.